Well, good Monday morning to you. We're going to kind of run through things here pretty quick. If you'll notice in the email post, there's a picture at the top. And the picture is pictorial evidence that the job stimulus package is not working. And here's what I want to explain this. If you remember last Sunday, I said there won't be any video, that it was extremely hot in the office. We couldn't shoot the video. And so we didn't. I think it was like 90 degrees in here. Unbelievable. Sunday we had an AC problem. So Monday morning I came in, still place is just hot as it could be. So I'll end up walking around back where all the AC units and everything are. And the picture that you see in the email shows what was wrong with our AC. They were gone. The job stimulus package has not created enough jobs to keep people working or to give people an opportunity to go back to work. So they've gone to stealing the large air conditioning units. They strip the copper out of them, go sell the copper for scrap. And I mean, the AC units out there, we got them. We got new ones reinstalled. Actually, not till Friday. I went out and bought a couple of window. I went to the hardware place and bought a window unit, kind of set up, so we'd have some degree of AC in the office, but so we could work. And but it's interesting, as I was looking at the rebate stuff on the windows, I could have gotten a $7 cash card rebate. Now the mountain of paperwork to fill out is astronomical, but I could have gotten a $7 refund for if you buy a window AC unit, it's the right type and all that kind of stuff. You can get a $7 per unit rebate. I was really stimulated to fill out all the paperwork. But it's interesting, they stole 2 units off of our building, and they're huge units. I mean, these things are half the size of a car, basically. And then next door, they stole 8 units off the building next door. They probably stole them all at the same time, so they obviously, maybe they used the truck rebate from a few years ago for large trucks and filled up their truck with them, I don't know. But the job stimulus package is not working. We did have some other hard evidence of that last week. We over 500,000 new claims for jobless benefits came in last week, well above what was expected by some people. Certainly not everybody, but as we look at that, the job stimulus package is just not worked. Now, in all fairness, we knew it wasn't going to work. We have over 2 decades of evidence from Japan that shows that doing that will not work. Why we continue to believe if we keep practicing things that don't work, maybe they will work. But that's what we're doing, and the belief that they're going to continue to pound away at this thing, and it's going to make it start working. Well, it just doesn't. You can't, contrary to what one elected official said, that if we don't spend money, we're going to go bankrupt. I believe was a quote or something similar to that. And one of the concerns now is we have people who've been looking for jobs for so long, they quit looking and they fall off. Well, there's no official account for those people. There's no one's counting those, but it's very difficult to count them actually. But there's a large number of people who they're just worn out. They're just tired of looking. I can understand getting worn out on that kind of a thing, but they're just done. And so we see that those things, though we continue to press in those areas, they're just not working. Now it's interesting, mortgage rates have continued to slide back. And it'll be interesting to see this week actually what happens on mortgage rates, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But mortgage rates have fallen back. There has been some discussion of potential deflation. We mentioned it 2 or 3 weeks ago in our recap of what we're looking at, that kind of thing. But when we look at the markets, we've just finished the 3rd full week in the markets for the month of August, and it's the 3rd full week we've been down. And we've mentioned before, this is what I call the twilight zone. This is the 90-day worst consecutive period in the markets every year. And I can't actually say every, because every once in a while you see a year where it's not, but it's a very high percentage of the time. And it's a statistical thing. It's not my opinion. It's not my read on the market. It's really what historically the markets have given to us during that time frame. And I think we're going to continue to see that. We're just 3 weeks into the 90 worst days, and we're going to continue to see that. So what we saw on Friday was this huge spike in interest rates. Interest rates been pulling down, pulling down, pulling down. As I mentioned the week before, we did sell our long government bond holding. Just not this most previous week, but the week just prior to that. And we sold all of our government bond positions there and booked those profits. Pretty nice profits, I would add. And last week, bonds continued, to rally in price. Yields fell until Friday. And Friday, man, the whole thing reversed. Bonds were up so much on Friday, it wiped out all of last week's gains. And bond yields, were up so much last week, it wiped out all of last week's gains and even eroded into some of the previous week's gains. So we don't know if that's going to continue to happen because there's talk of deflation setting in. But anyway, mortgage rates are still down. It'll be interesting to see what happens this coming week due to that big spike we saw on Friday in the 30 and the 10-year note. And the 10 is really what the mortgage business kind of keys on. So the markets were down third week in a row. We think that trend is going to stay in place. It's not going to be a straight line down, folks. We're going to have a relief week in there probably at some point, but we don't think it's going to make any material difference in the direction of this thing over the next several weeks. I will tell you on our short-term index model, we are currently in cash. We will go either long the Russell or long the NASDAQ, probably late on Tuesday or first thing on Wednesday. We will take that thing along, the NASDAQ or the Russell. On our intermediate term model, we have been short the S&P 500, and we're going to continue to stay there. And then on our longer term index model, we are now on our short for the S&P as well. So just bear that in mind. In our sectors model, the only thing we're long is utilities, and to be honest with you, utilities from Friday through Monday through Friday, basically all it did was do exactly what the S&P 500 did. It was down about 7 or 0.8% last week on utilities, and that's really what the S&P did. So that's it. But that's the only holding we have in sectors. And then to our alternative asset class, we're still long China. Late last week, China had a great rally. Just took off really well. I'm a little concerned about that holding, to be honest with you. It's not shown the strength that I really wanted it to, but we don't have a sell signal on it. We're still in the buy for the long China. We also have a long precious metals position, which we took up a few weeks ago. I was kind of nervous about that. I think I even commented on that in the video that I was kind of nervous about that, but had a great week last week. I think our setup there was up about 6 or 7% for the week last week. So we were really delighted with that. And then we're also short the U.S. dollar, and the dollar, our dollar position last week was up just slightly for the week. It's not correlated to the market. That's one of the reasons we like it. That's one of the reasons it's in the alternative asset class. So we were in good shape there. And then our fixed income, we're still long our high yield corporates. We don't own any govies in there currently. We may end up going short govies at some point, but we're not right now. But we still own the high yield corporates. We're really nervous about that. About 60% of the high yield stuff I track has already been on a sell signal for 2 or 3 weeks. 2 or 3 weeks. And but the stuff we're holding we're close to sells, but we're not there. And then on our tax-free fixed income model, we're still long the high income munis. Okay, but we don't have any government bonds there on our accelerator position, so we've sold out of those. We could end up going short at some point, but we haven't done that yet as well. So that's kind of where we are in the markets. We cannot believe people continue to believe that throwing money at this job, this economy on the government side is the way to bring it back. Because at some point it has to shift away from the government to the private sector. Well, there's no provision for that when you just throw government money at it. You can't spend enough government money to get private sector work really going. Private sector may get the work from the stimulus, but when you build infrastructure, just because you have a brand new pipeline in the ground with new water and sewage flowing through it doesn't mean there's any private sector jobs to follow that. So anyway, just be careful. Remember, we're in that 90-day consecutive worst day cycle, and play heads up. Okay, take care. Have a great week. Bye-bye.